Just come.
Just do a wave. Do a wave.
Yeah, the boys.
Welcome to the fucking best podcast in the world, Mincifology. We got two random cunts off the street. We got two of our very close friends from just life, you know. So, if you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, all right. My name's Anwar. My parents immigrated to this country about 20 years ago.
Don't ask me a life story.
These bloody imports. That guy in particular. And yeah, 20 years later, I'm in his
He's
bloody
like, I
garage.
came by boat.
He actually came by boat. Yeah, he swam to the country. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Should have stayed in Iraq, to be honest. It's better than this. And yeah, now we're here.
I'm Daniel. I came by plane.
He's balling.
No, I thought you were born here.
No, I wasn't. I was 8 years old when I left Iran.
Oh shit, bro.
Yeah.
So we got a mixed crowd there though. We got Iraqis, Iranians, and a Palestinian.
Oh yeah, we got our Palestinian manager on the back.
We love it.
He's managing our finances.
So yeah, welcome to episode 3.
It's gonna be split into 2 parts, right?
Episode 3. We'll see. Yeah, episode 3. Plan for today was just to get really close mates of mine. Honestly, I've known you guys practically for
Too long.
too long.
Yep.
Sad to see.
This is the last day of the friendship.
Way too long.
And the plan was just to have some, you remember like Wednesday men's day sort of thing.
That's right.
It's just gonna be lads talks about business, relationship, religion, anything that we tend to struggle with, and also genuinely have a half for it to talk about. All right. So let's get to it. Let's go. All right. Daniel, how do you feel?
Yes.
Yeah, go into it.
Start with me.
Yeah, I'm ready. Daniel. All right.
Yes.
See, I've got your name already on the paper.
Already. I was like, why did he give us notes? He's going to give us homework after. Go on.
Daniel's note says, "Get me out of here."
Just contemplating life. Why did I choose this friendship? Go on.
You're practically one of the only ones that we know that is close to us that actually has quite a successful business. So tell us more about how you got into it. What has it been, being a mundane businessman?
Yeah.
With multiple stores, and you're practically running the whole household as well and your family. Tell me about this whole transition of how you've sort of became aware that this is what I want to do, and you're still doing it and you're still growing it until now.
So, like, as you all know, most of Mandayan's jewelry is predominantly a big thing in our culture. So, going back, history-wise, it was jewelry, woodwork, things like that. So, I actually never really wanted to get into jewelry. I was really into the design aspect side. And then eventually I started working with my cousins. Child labor from like 12 years old.
Like child soldier or like
No, child labor, bro. So
$5 an hour or something.
yeah, not even, bro. You're lucky if you get paid.
As long as you get food.
You get to live that day.
And then so I learnt a lot from them, and then eventually my dad had a lot of jewelry stores in Sydney. In a period of so my dad came here in the early 80s, and then he opened the jewelry store, and then when my grandma got sick back in Iran, they moved back. They had me, and then we moved back here in 2003. When we moved back, my dad didn't really want to do a jewelry store. He was working for someone else. He was the general manager of a company called Watchworks. They used to repair watches.
Okay.
And then in 2010, he decided he wanted to open a jewelry store again. I had some experience with my cousins. And keep in mind, I was in year 10, so still very young. And then, so basically we got involved in that. And then it just took over my life, to be honest with you. Like, I really enjoyed the business aspect of it, but I also really enjoyed like the jewelry designing and jewelry manufacturing of it. And yeah, like now, you know, business is not easy, especially in this day and age with COVID and stuff like that. But I think with anything in life, like it's all about how hard you work. The harder you work and the results at the end of the day, it's like anything that you do, you know, you can. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of mentors, and I think that's one thing. Like when you bring it back to like the community and stuff, because there was a lot of already pre-built jewelry businesses in the community. I had a lot of support in terms of who I can go to, reputation, people like even suppliers, things like that. So I had a lot of help with that.
Yeah.
Do you think your father shaped you into that sort of?
100%, 100%. It was by multiple things. Like obviously, like till this day, you know, every once in a while, you need humbling.
Yeah.
and nobody
the mechanic
and nobody humbles you like your dad does. I remember when we were younger, like in the shop, you know, you do something, and you're like, oh look, I did this, or I made this sell, or I made this ring. And there was always something wrong. Like he will always humble you, and that teaches you. Like, you know what? As big as you get, you can always fall right back down.
Yeah.
The bigger you get, the bigger the fall. So.
And I think for us, the boys, especially as ethnics come, we just want to prove ourselves. It's a constant.
100%,
It's a constant ego battle, and like the bigger you grow, the bigger the risk for you. Because you're no longer alone. Like you're married. You've got a wife,
I think it's also. I think you also got to look at like you know, we have like big shoes to fill. Our dads weren't bums. Like they all worked hard. They put us in a position. So you got big shoes to fill, and you're always constantly trying to fill those shoes, right? So that's another thing as well. Like, but I think a support system. I think one thing that we lack in other industries, like the jewelry industry, in our community, is very strong.
It is.
Right? And you build relationships with others and suppliers and things like that. Unfortunately, I feel like in other industries, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like with yourself. Like, I don't think all the doctors are in a tight-knit community.
No,
they're
not
all
really.
talking to
like,
you. They're all...
they're not. Like, for example, I know your sister, she's GP, and she gave me a few pointers there,
Yeah.
there, right? But when you're out there, especially in my field, it becomes more like you're alone. You just have to make it somehow. But I think for you guys... Are the Mandanians that tight together when it comes to the jewelry?
Look, it's the whole industry itself is very small, right? It's a very small industry, and you have like run-ins with everybody. But I don't know whether it was me, it's just with me. But I don't know. I've got really good relationships with most of the Mandanian jewelers.
But you need to.
And you know, I get to know them, and you know, it's got to be a support system. Like you got to be able to help each other out. Yeah. You know, so I think. That's very good in every industry. And there was a saying like, you know, there's people that they go, if one of us gets rich, 5 of us should get rich. Yeah. So if I'm gonna get rich, I'll take 5 of my friends with me.
Shout out to the Jews.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Bro, the Jews have worked it out. Man, look, that's the reason why I got you. So if you get rich, make sure we're with you.
Yeah.
Set us up, bro.
Coming from the doctor. Yeah, all right, no worries, bro.
I was going to ask you, like, because you have such kind of good connections and good relationships with people in that industry, is it still, like, do you reckon it's still more competitive than other industries? Is it still a very competitive industry?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Because you got to remember now, it's just broader as well.
Like, what do you get? What
like, I recently had a guy I made an engagement ring for, and
shout out to him.
I still have your engagement in my shop.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're welcome to sell my bro.
You don't need it.
So and then he messaged me like 2 weeks later after like thing. He goes, "Yeah, my wife's opening a studio and she wants to teach ring making. Is it all right for you to come and teach her so she can teach?" And I said, like, with the internet and with all this like do it yourself and things like that, like it's just the competition is just ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous. And online is big.
Yeah.
Like online is just absolutely nuts. And now you've got like things like lab diamonds and things like that that have really rocked it.
You reckon it's going to be the big thing now, the lab diamonds?
It already is.
Like they're just going to replace
90% of the market.
They're going to replace whatever left is?
They can't replace it. The thing is with lab diamonds, look, lab diamonds are technology, right?
Yeah.
So the better the technology, the lower the price goes. Unfortunately,
because it's more efficient at making them.
100%, 100%. But the good thing about lab diamonds is they're actually a lot nicer than
Yeah.
than normal diamonds.
concur.
Like,
Like there's still
really-
diamonds. But
Because
they're
I
diamonds.
know
No,
you
so-
got
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
a
so-
natural one, right?
So what it is
Yeah.
it's they take like a piece of carbon,
Yeah.
and they put it in the same environment. So it's almost like a test tube, baby.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like how normal diamonds.
100%. So they take it instead of over millions of years, it happens over 3 months, and it grows, and then they cut it, polish it, like exactly everything. So same strength, like very
They're better looking.
better looking. Very few diamond testers can predict them, and bro, they're cheap. Like a 3 carat for 10 grand.
But why
Shit.
they have the exact same like they're exactly the same as
They're just the
normal
same
diamonds.
carbon.
So why don't people just buy lab made diamonds and just sell them as normal?
Because they
diamonds?
didn't get that
No,
much value. on my
because
channel.
okay, so the reason people don't do that is because not everyone's dodgy like you. Did you just hear that question? because why don't people buy diamonds?
Yeah, but why, if you have a lab made diamond, why would you tell people that it's a lab made diamond if it's going to be cheap?
You have to, bro, because
Yeah,
you got an
but
authentication letter with it.
It's called being honest. Like,
But I mean,
It's
bro,
called
I
him
don't know.
fine,
Look,
trying
I'm just
to keep
saying,
the
bro,
business.
look,
no, but they're also all laser inscribed. So most lab grown diamonds are actually have an inscription that says they're lab grown inside the actual.
There
yeah,
are
when
ways
I
to
got
tell
mine, it
something
was just
there,
like
Daniel.
the whole thing comes up.
There are ways to tell there's a machine, I've heard.
There is a machine, but it's not 100% accurate. It's about 80% accurate. But the machine itself, the cheapest one is about the Yehuda machine is about 7 grand, and it's like 50-60% accurate. The actual proper one is about 60 grand. So like it's quite expensive. Like they're not. It's not something. But like take it to a jeweler, I won't be able to. I can't tell.
You really can't tell.
I can't tell.
Have you ever got have you ever got like a one that you bought and you sort of lost money on it because you realized it was a lab made?
No, because I can't realize. How do I realize it's a lab made? But like we test it with our machines and everything that we buy. Like we're pretty good with our suppliers. We know most of them go through like there's a diamond guild. So
Oh yeah.
everything's like laser. Even like the naturals that we buy, they're all laser inscribed. They come from a laboratory, so it's not from the supplier.
That's
So it's like from the Gemologist Institute of America.
That's it. That you've always been into the diamond business, not like
No,
مثل
so I've-
جماعتنا jewelry وهاي شغلات. لو you sort of shifted to
no. So I'll tell you what happened with me was I was working with my cousins, and my cousins have obviously the diamond jewelry, and they've got like high end watches, and I actually was working there, and I got offered a job to work at Nestle, and I was going to leave the whole industry, so I went and worked for Nestle for about 4 months, and then as a junior sales rep, it's pretty good, man. I was like 18 years old, earning like 75K. At 18 years old.
fuck.
Back in the day too.
Back in the
Bro,
day, as
that
well,
was like
2000
that's
2012.
Bro,
so
that's
it was
mint
crazy.
money.
Before that COVID inflation.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit, bro. Fucking hell.
And then yeah, so I quit that because I just didn't like it. Like it was just I was selling baby formula and Kit Kat. It wasn't really what I wanted to do.
That was like me with the sales with Vodafone for like so long. It was just like
Yeah,
phones.
yeah,
After
eventually you
like
get to a
bro,
point.
like at the end, I just started having arguments with the
Yeah.
customer, and I was like, this is not for me anymore. when
Yeah.
you get irritated over things that usually you can manage, this is not for you anymore. You just walk out.
Yeah. So yeah, after that, I just went back into jewelry. Actually worked at the Good Guys for a while, part time, and then got into jewelry. And since then, I had a kiosk in Wetherill Park first.
That's right. Yeah.
And then in 2020, just before COVID, I opened the store in Wetherill Park.
Yeah.
And then we opened West Ride in 21.
Yeah.
And then we're opening next month, the new one. So,
What's that going to be?
Sylvania.
Hell
Yeah.
That's good, bro.
بالعافية, bro. بالعافية. Honestly,
yeah, bro, it is.
it's a work in progress, and you got to do it.
100%.
Because the thing is with this, you don't know which one is going to be the hitter. Like you have your
No, look,
foundation.
I think again with anything like I don't. One of the predominant things that kills the jewelry business is unfortunately the rent. You pay shopping centers and stuff. It's ridiculous. But in terms of just you got to build clientele, and jewelry is very personal.
Yeah, like we
You know
like
what I mean? It's got to be trust. It's got to be trust. Like if there's no trust, like most of the customers that come to me, are like the mums come, they get their jewelry repaired, and then eventually their kids come, they'll buy. Like,
Exactly. It's
it
a
becomes
family
generational. It's the family jeweler. It's the same as a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, your family GP that you always go to, your grandma used to go to, you go to, everyone goes to.
Like now, like I'm 2 months into it, and I've already got like families coming in.
And once they see you're good, so what they do is
exactly.
they start bringing their friends and their friends and their friends, and that's
And they
how it
bring all
works.
the girls and stuff. And laugh at it. Marco Ben.
This is random shit, bro.
شلونك انواع؟
Haji.
خطي هذا قاعد.
I'm drawing. Look at my nice drawing, bro.
Tell us about
Tell us about
Bitcoin.
Yeah. All right. How do you? Well, look. Just tell me about your experience.
Yeah.
Growing up. I guess that's a start in this country as an ethnic boy.
Yeah. All right.
And
So
how have you progressed through life so far? Yes, it's a good way.
Pretty good, bro.
I'll give you a kudos, bro. You're pretty good. You progressed pretty well.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah, man. Like honestly, I remember my first day at school was in year 1, and the teacher said, "What's your name?" And I had no idea what the hell she was saying, but they had a interpreter there.
Yeah.
So the interpreter would ask me in Arabic, and I would say to her, "She's like, okay, your name's Anwar. Can you write that for me?" I don't even know any letters in English at all. So
Yeah.
in year 1, where a lot of kids probably know the alphabet, know their number system.
Yeah.
I completely started from 0. So there was that level of catch up for the first few years,
Yeah.
which you guys went through as well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
exactly.
common experience in southwest Sydney. I think the percentage of migrant parents coming in and first generation children going up is quite high.
Yeah.
So it's a very common experience in southwest Sydney, in the Liverpool area that we grew up in. Then I would say by the time you got to high school, it kind of evened out. You know, your English level catches up to everyone else, and then it becomes about
Just bring it forward.
yeah. All right. From that point on, it's like kind of what path do you want to go down? In school, you got the kind of the studious path, you got the athlete path, you got the social path, and whatever. Like there was a mixture of opportunities. For me, I went down the studious path.
Yeah.
That was probably a lot of influence from family. I think kind of Daniel touched on it before. When you know your family kind of sacrificed their livelihood to come here, you've got like you don't want to make them think that they did it for nothing. You don't want to be a bum.
exactly.
Like,
It's a big
they gave up
responsibility.
the whole country to come to a new country where they know how to speak it.
Yeah, they literally risked their lives like to come here. So yeah, you're 100%.
You want to try to be something or at least strive to achieve. And
Right. Can you tell me about that story in the boat?
I
That gets me every time, bro.
I was like 5 years old, so
But
I
I
don't
can-
remember it well, man. But those boats were in bad shape. you know?
My in-laws actually like no, like they say
We were on the
that-
same boat.
Yeah, I know. So they like his because like from what like Ez's mum and stuff was saying that your mum gets like really bad migraines and the whole ride, like she had a migraine
And it's what,
And-
2-3 week ride or something?
and it was Adwar and Anwar. They were with Ez's dad, like holding him, and Mari was still like just a baby.
She's literally like an
She's
infant.
literally yeah. So like Ez's mum is holding her, and there's like vomit. People stole their food, like
And then like the boat was apparently had a hole in, and you guys were like using buckets
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah, so the men were kind of had buckets, and they would, as the water came in, they would throw the water out, and the women were mostly with the crying children and the
And it's a one-way boat.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's designed. It's like literally the end, like the lifeline of a boat. It's like we're
Yeah, yeah,
sending
so
it,
you-
and it's gonna drown.
and many boats, by the way, did drown.
Bro, remember those? Like there was a group of Mandanes,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
2016.
There was a lot that didn't
They
make
sent a picture, and then within half an hour,
their boat disappeared.
they went.
Why isn't they all just died?
No,
They just drowned.
They did.
It was just they drowned.
People got on that boat knowing there was a decent chance.
Chance
they
you're
might-
gonna die.
But imagine the situation that they would be in, that they would take that risk.
Yeah,
You wouldn't take that unless you were in such a bad situation. And so my parents left in 2001, and this was just before the war, but there were signs that the war was coming. So
And Australia was stopping the boats. So in 2001, like John Howard put that policy, and that's so you guys made it after
just
yous.
before.
Yeah, and then after yous, because my auntie came after you guys,
Oh wow.
my auntie's family, and they sent them back.
Yeah, right.
So when they reached Australia, and then the boat, what they did was they started pouring like sugar and stuff in the engine to wreck the engine.
Oh,
Then they fixed the engine and they sent them back. So that's when they were sending back. But obviously, when they sent them back, they didn't just send them she goes like there was helicopters tailing us all the way back to Indonesia
Wow.
because they're not gonna like obviously they're not gonna
get there.
yeah they want to make sure they get there, but
But
I
that's
don't know,
very, those are very common stories, man. Like for me, we were stuck in Jordan for. Sorry, we should probably finish then
Yeah, I know.
once before we jump around.
Yeah.
But the next one will be
I'll keep it brief. So, in school, I was probably more naturally, heading towards the maths and sciences. I think I've always been more mathematically inclined than the English, probably because I had everyone else had a head start with me with English. And although I did catch up, I don't think it was naturally what I was good at compared to the maths and sciences. I think that comes from my parents as well. My mom was an accountant when she was in Iraq.
Oh, was she?
And my dad was a jeweler, and they dealt with a lot of numbers. So, I naturally liked the maths and sciences. And when I graduated high school, I went into engineering.
So you reckon you got the maths, I guess, like talent from your mum more than your dad?
I think so. Honestly, I remember when I was in primary school, when there was an ad on TV, my mum would just like throw out maths questions at me. Just like that was like a hobby. And see how good you can do in your head. My dad was too. I used to play a lot of chess with him, and I think that helped that strategic side of thinking as well.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And then, obviously when I finished high school, because I was more into the maths and sciences, naturally that led into engineering.
Sure.
And I got a degree in electrical engineering, and now I work as an electrical engineer.
Which company was it, sorry?
Transgrid.
Transgrid. Which is one of the toughest companies to get into, to be honest. I remember you had to jump through a lot of hoops to get there.
Yeah. It used to be a government-owned thing, but then when the government privatized a lot of things, a lot of industries, the electrical industry was one that got privatized. So now it's a private. It's actually a 99-year lease from the government.
99 years.
Yeah, it's actually. I think two of the owners are Middle Eastern companies, but I think it had to be at least 50% Australian. So two of the companies that own it are Australian, and the other two are Middle Eastern.
Wow.
And so that for 99 years, whatever profits the company makes, I believe is for those companies, and then after that, it reverts back to the Australian government. But
Well, they probably put it on auction.
it sold for a bit over $10 billion at the time. I don't know how they came up with that number, but so Australia had to give away all the profits you could say for that company for 99 years, and in return, they got $10 billion.
That's a
Obviously,
lot of
at
money.
the time, they probably did the calculations that they thought they could better use that money.
the 10 billion.
Yeah, the 10 billion.
I mean, they probably needed the money, and if they had to privatize it.
Yeah, you would think so.
Al-Assas, the taxes aren't enough.
They couldn't just print more.
Yeah, look what happened now. But that's amazing. And now you're married. What? You gonna be?
Yeah,
into
I've
it?
been married just over a year.
How does it
It's
feel?
been going great, honestly.
She's a good woman. She's a good woman.
Oh, the best. Yeah. Honestly, for our age, like I'm 28. When I was married, I was 27. It's probably a bit on the younger side these days. Maybe 50 years ago it was on the old side. Now it's on the young side. So most people my age are not married. But honestly, it's been great.
I think 27 is a great age, great age to get married.
You got married at 27. 27. So it's been 3 years for you.
Yep.
And you're heading into 1.5 or something.
Yeah, just over a year.
Yeah.
Was the first year hard?
I don't think so, man. I think we knew each other pretty well. We had talked about, how things were going to be,
And I think that's I think that was the next thing we want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's the relationship and the dating in our community, right? Like you married an Iraqi, okay, and he married a Persian. Like
we swapped.
you guys literally made this
we
swap.
literally did tit for tat. I married his cousin, he married my cousin.
That's the story of Anwar and Danyal, and عادي. But how interesting was it? Or was it challenging? Like, you guys tell me about it, because that's very interesting.
I'll go with Daniel first. He's been married longer.
No, bro. To be honest with you, it wasn't very hard for me. Like, my wife's great. Like, when I literally we hang out. Like, even when we were dating, we like the hangout was just crazy. Like, we just go out, like chill.
Just mates.
Yeah, like it's just so like we've always been so comfortable together. So I mean, in terms of I guess part of it is like I grew up with a lot of Iraqis.
Yeah.
So I think that didn't really reflect on anything. Like, it was normal, and like my in-laws are very similar to like my family in the way they are and the way they, basically just the way they are. They're very, very smart. They're very easygoing, you know. So I was accepted very easily.
That's what you need. That's a very hard, because
So-
I think if the man is not مرتاح, it's
I
a
remember,
very-
like, my father-in-law called me, like, he goes, he's like, oh, just so you know, like, if you, like, when you, like, you're marrying my daughter, you're my son. Like, he goes, I don't treat it any different. And I realized, you know, everyone says that. And then, you know, I had a few encounters with him, and I realized he's actually being genuinely serious. Right?
because he's handing over the most precious thing in his life to you. Like, you have to,
Yeah, I don't
hand that trust over.
Yeah, but I think it's also, like, I think you got to take away the whole, like, he's handing over. I think it's more, like, two families coming together. That's how I look at it, to be honest with you. Like, it's that's how it should be.
I concur to that.
Yeah, honestly, like, that's, you know, I talk to a lot of people and they go, oh, like, we're in a relationship. I go, okay. Like, what's going on? You know, what does your father-in-law do? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? He goes, I don't know. I go, okay, when was the last time you were over their house? I don't go to their house. I just said, like,
What the fuck is that?
yeah, so it just doesn't make sense. Like, you got to have a relationship with your in-laws, because tomorrow you want your kids to get the two, like, your parents, their parents. Like, it's very, very important, to be honest with you. Like, the relationship and communication is, like, really, really important.
Because now I see it, like, my older brother, Saif, he's married. He's been married since 2011. He got married very young. Got married at 23.
Yeah.
His wife is 21 when they got married. They got married but after a 5-year relationship.
Yeah.
Right? The beauty of it is she's no longer just our sister-in-law. She is the sister.
Yeah.
So mum looks at her as if she's the daughter she's
Yeah.
never had, right? And not just that, like, the parents are always over their house. To the point now that we're actually planning to just get one big house and just put everyone together.
Yeah.
Because it gets to that point that
They were
the
that
grandparents are that comfortable.
Yeah.
And not just comfortable, it actually gives them a bigger purpose, man.
Yeah.
They live longer, they live a happier, longer life seeing their grandkids growing up.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's very important that when you're in that phase early on, especially in a relationship, especially with jama'atna, the families are quite similar in the culture. يعني حتى yes, Iranian, Iraqi, fair enough, but in general the cultures are similar. All right.
But you know all this Iraqi thing.
ترى الحرب صارت هاي شغلات,
yeah.
man.
It was all that, because, like, even, like, when I hear, like, the propaganda that was spread over, it's, you know what it is? It's vaxxers and anti-vaxxers.
Straight up.
Literally, it's COVID vaccine. All, like, that's what it is.
Right, they were thrown stones away from each other. Like,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar culture,
Oh.
very similar influence.
Yeah, now
Especially like the Hamra and Basra is like a
Cross
river
the border.
crossing,
Yeah.
right?
Opposite sides of the
So
river.
they used to go, like, all the because in Iran there was no Genzora.
Oh,
Yeah. So they used to go to Basra to do their
Baptism.
their mahars,
wow.
their baptism.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Until
Because there's always that. I've heard these I guess like controversial stuff where, like, back in the day, the shuyukh mal Iran would not really baptize the ones from Iraq because they had some differences in their
Nah,
practices.
I've never heard that either.
I heard that from the families, but then I realized when I saw it, it's literally the same thing. Nothing has changed.
No, so, like, my grandfather was a halali, and shuyukh, like, من Iraq كانوا يجون يظلون عدة, like, they used to come and they used to stay at his house,
That's amazing.
right? Because we had no, until Rashama Salah's dad got Sargenzora, we had nobody that does mahars.
That was
So
that
we
tough.
were reliant on the Iraqi
Oh my
shuyukh.
God.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. No, so that's I mean, the culture side. That's why if you look at the older, this whole Irani thing is with the young, with the generation that's like 30 to about 60.
Yeah.
The
exactly.
older generation and the really younger generation don't have
care.
that.
Yeah.
It's that those people that were impacted by the war.
Like, there was someone that I know who is, I've heard he's dating a Persian. The Iraqi, the father's just against it. He's like, I don't want it. I'm like, انت باستراليا.
But you know, part of it as well. I think part of it is also it's the unknown, and I'm gonna fear the unknown.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
You know what I mean?
and any relationship has that. The parents should be supportive of, regardless, as long as
Oh,
ما
yeah.
لك من داي. احنا كنا هالقد.
Yeah, but there's unknowns in the relationship. Like, if you take someone who's Iraqi and the guy's Iraqi, like the parents know what the unknowns are going to be, which
Yeah.
is like, oh,
They know who their family is.
Exactly.
They know who their
Yeah.
family is. But
Yeah.
there's a like when you go into that aspect, they don't know who their family is. And you know what? You're right. Like it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You meet the family. If the family's good, like what difference does it make? It makes no difference.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
It should not make a difference.
Because that just makes it harder for us to find fucking.
And we're very tight.
I mean, we're very tight already. Imagine if you're gonna seclude even more.
Exactly.
But I think it's becoming more acceptable. I mean, what about you, Anwar? I mean, with your experiences, Habibi?
Honestly, a lot of what Daniel says, I agree with. I think, honestly, at the end of the day, like he said, younger people have that clash. You think about it, we're more Australian than we are Iraqi or Iran.
Yeah,
we grew
exactly,
up here, we
100%.
have a lot of the cultures of Southwest Sydney.
Yeah, 100%.
We're more that than we are where our parents came from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But it is becoming hard to date these days, though.
Well,
Relationship.
I wouldn't know. So.
Yeah, we've been out of the game, man. You tell us.
You tell us. But look, I think part of it as well is all this social media. Everyone's
Everyone's a 9 and a 10 on social media these days.
it's not just that. It's but even guys. I think in both aspects, like guys and girls, everyone has different expectation. It's all about me. And in a relationship, if it's all about you, there's no compromise. Forget it.
Can't do much about
You
that.
need to compromise, and like there's a lot of people that unfortunately the traditional relationship has kind of phased out.
Yeah, it's no longer that.
It's no longer that. So what I mean is communication, compromise, respect. Do you know what I mean?
Do you still believe in the traditional household values, you reckon?
Yeah, 100. Like
Like, it worked. It's been working for a while.
But what do you
right?
mean by that?
The traditional, where it's like the man leads the household.
No, I don't believe in that. And I'll tell you why I don't believe in that. The man leads the house. I think men are great at disciplining.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, when you have kids, men are always... like, women are a lot more nurturing.
Of course.
Right? But in terms of... it's dependent on the man and the female. Do you know what I mean? Because those roles can be reversed. I've seen some bums out there, bro. I've seen some guys that could not lead a bunch of sheep, let alone a household.
So I'm saying, like, well, that's the reality. You as a man have to be a leader in that sort of. You have to lead by example, because if you lead by example inside your household, I don't think there's room for
so like,
issues and errors.
like they used to say, like, I want my kids to catch me, like in excellence.
Of
You know,
course.
always, 100%.
I was lead by example.
Always lead by example. But I also think that, again, it comes down to communication, compromise, and you got to be able to communicate with your wife. Because there's guys that go, I lead the household. They come in, scream, shout, whatever. Like, what are you leading?
There's no leading. I
There's no
think
context.
for them it's like
There's no
leading is like
substance.
I'm leading is just there's some men like that and they are idiots. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. It goes both ways. I think if you're not leading by true wisdom as a man, and by wisdom means, hey, like, I don't like these. These are my boundaries from the start, okay? And it's clearly communicated, right? For a woman, she'll respect that in you because you've set your boundaries and this is what it is. This is what I like, this is what I don't like.
And vice versa. It's got to,
Vice-
again,
both
same thing.
ways.
It's all about communication, bro. If you communicate from beginning, and that's one of the biggest problems, is people get into relationships, they see red flags and they don't communicate it.
And
And
by
they
the
wait
time
till
it's
the
like-
end. They wait till the end, and then, oh yeah, no, like, she's doing this or he's doing this. Well, you've been with them for 2 years, like.
Right. Got a shitty gut feeling. Just have it.
Yeah, if it's
Talk
not
about it.
if it's not easy, then it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Like, when I say if it's not easy, if you're sitting there and contemplating, should I get married? And you've been with the person for 2 years,
Then you know it's
right?
not.
Then you know, man, this is not the right. If you're questioning yourself, then you got to be.
Yeah, because that's what I went through.
Your question is, you have cold feet.
Of
But
course.
I'm talking like if you're sitting there constantly coming up with reasons why you shouldn't do it, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, because I went through it, and from what I went through, it's pretty much that. It's you go through so many red flags and bad gut feelings, I guess.
Yeah.
But you choose to stick around and be like, maybe they'll change, maybe certain things will happen, and then at the end you're like, this is what I'm dealing with. Am I happy to continue with this person?
See, I don't believe in like change.
No. There's no one's gonna fucking change, bro.
I don't believe in that. I
It
really
doesn't.
like. I think people can modify their behavior a little bit, but to change someone's personality or how they are is just absolutely nuts. And we as a species, unfortunately, crave that. Like when a girl sees a guy and he's an idiot, right? I can change him, and vice versa. When a guy sees a girl, I
It's
can
like,
change
yeah,
her.
it's like-
like no, it's just
Like it doesn't
work
have like all these stuff. You can't do it. You can't. That's just how they are. Obviously, after the age of 25, you can't. That's it. That's personality set in stone. But if you date like at a younger time, age, or the girl's 22, 23, you'll probably still have a bit of leniency in changing certain behaviors, not the personality per se. But if you're not clearly communicating your standards from the beginning, then there's a problem.
Yeah, well, it goes again back to communication.
And it doesn't. I don't.
So what do you think? You've been in you're in the dating game now.
To be honest, after walking out, like right now, it's more. I'm just seeking excellence now. I just want to improve on myself before I go out there again, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Not easy.
They're not easy, but it's also you need to have the time, right? And if you're working like we're doing this podcast, we're working full time, you're gymming, you're doing all these sort of things. If the girl doesn't fit into your lifestyle easily, then you know a lot of things are going to change. And the more things that change, you're more likely to lose the girl and lose yourself in the process. That's how I look at it. I look at it as a way that if she's coming into your frame, into your lifestyle, then she should understand that you're a busy man, especially if you are seeking excellence and improvement day in, day out. And that doesn't come overnight. That happens over years and years, and she has to appreciate that. Yeah. But if she's coming in knowing, oh no, he'll get married and he'll settle and he'll have to look at the kids. No, it's just not how it is. You just have to be very firm from the beginning. Right now, I'm not keen on anything. I just want to just enjoy being single, I guess. That's me personally right now. Because it's a bit of a headache, bro, honestly. Like coming out of it as well and the recovery phase. I'd rather be in sauna and spa.
Do you reckon that if you didn't get married, the time that you did, would have it taken longer? Like if you didn't find the girls that you guys found? What do you reckon?
I don't know about Anwar, but I mean, I wasn't looking to get married.
Yeah, it just happened.
It just happened. Yeah.
I wasn't. I was definitely not looking to get married. I started like realizing that it's.
And it was in the Mendy, bro.
And you know what? You could have like. Yeah. And you could have like what could have happened was I could have walked away from that, but then I started looking at going, okay, so like she's great, like in every aspect, we get along so well.
The vibes are good.
Shout out brownie points.
Oh, she's sitting out.
I know you step in a little bit as well. So I got you.
Cover each other here, mate.
So yeah, look, it's and yeah, we obviously got along really well, and it just happened, man. Like I was the type. I went to sit down with her dad, and I was gonna have a conversation and go, listen, Amor, like I'm not even thinking about marriage for the first 5 years, right? And I had this conversation with my dad, and I was like, "Bah, I'm gonna go," and because I said I'm gonna go meet her dad and her uncle, and I said I'm gonna say I don't want to get married for 5 years, and he goes, "Yeah," he's gonna laugh at you. Like, what do you mean? He goes, I wouldn't let my daughter go for 5 years with a random girl.
Much, bro.
No, yeah, exactly.
But then there's also this vetting process that you have to go through, and if she's the right woman,
I did no vetting process. Let me tell you, with me, like within
he's like, fuck it.
I was like, I'm gonna hold off for 5 years.
I'm balls deep, fuck it.
Within 3 months, we did the promising. Within a year, there was an engagement, and then 2 years later, we got married. Like it was just.
See, this is the successful stories out there where it's very streamlined. Mashaya's done after Khotoba, and then what?
But keep in mind, I also knew my missus for a long time as well. Like through Anwar, like.
You knew each other before you started dating.
We knew
exactly.
each other before we started dating. So it wasn't like I'm meeting someone just brand new and going, yeah.
That's fair.
But yeah.
What about you, What do you reckon?
Similar to Daniel, when I met my now wife, I was 25. I didn't have marriage, was not on my mind at all. But man, yeah, we just got on like a house on fire. And
got along like a house on fire.
I've never heard that before.
honestly, like,
She always says that house on fire. Like I love that.
have you seen a house on fire? It gets on pretty quick, man. You know, the house next to me that got burnt 2 years ago, that thing went from nothing to full flames in about 8 minutes.
Was that during the Bucks when we came back and the house was burnt?
Yeah, that house.
That was hectic.
Yeah, man.
Fuck my life. But I'm glad, man. Like, it's hard to find those sort of connections. It's super hard these days to find these sort of connections.
Yeah, look, I also think it's like it depends where you're looking as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're on Tinder trying to find your wife, it's not
That's
gonna
not
happen, bro.
there are no high value women and high value men on these sort of.
There have been a lot of relationships come out of it though.
Tinder probably more.
Yeah, but not our type. of-
Bumble,
No,
maybe? Maybe
no.
Bumble and stuff.
No, hold on.
Even Hinge and stuff. Huh?
Hold on. When I say Tinder, I mean you gotta look at the broader picture. There's people that go on dating apps and they're trying to find relationships. Unfortunately, Tinder now
It's no longer.
It's more of a hookup app.
no longer that.
Yeah.
It's a hookup app.
There's like Bumble. Bumble.
What's Bumble?
Bumble cut?
This guy starts dying of laughter. I don't know what.
Bumblecat?
Bumble cut? Is it Bumble? Is there one? There's Bumble. There's.
That was a Mandayan one.
Oh yeah.
Mandayan lip wiggle.
What is it,
Mandayan lip wiggle.
bro? And
Lip wiggle.
they hit me up on Instagram. They're like, would you like us to find you the what is it, the love of your life? I'm like, nah. Come on,
Why not?
bro, it's gonna be probably the same 10,
Yeah, it's the
10
same
girls
just
just be,
circulating. Yeah.
just like
we don't have 10 girls.
it's like applications like everyone.
But it's not going to be many. It's not going to be many girls.
But I've always wanted to do that, like a Mandayan dating app. That'd be crazy, bro.
You reckon? Or can you engineer?
Oh, you know what we can? You know what we
And
can
you know
do?
what? You advertise it to the parents. Like you don't advertise it to the kids.
Yeah, but the person, what the fuck is this, bro?
No, we just bring him on here.
Like,
Like
see,
a guy and
like
a
in
girl,
terms
and
of
we just sit there.
it's a physical dating app. We just bring them in the room.
in terms of Yahya, like I wouldn't even approach Yahya. I'd go to your mum and be like auntie, just like fill
Just sign this.
fill this form out.
Cause if you got a mum right now, she's like, بالعافية أخذ this guy must be in there.
That's what I mean. That's every Arab mum. So, and you go to people that have reached like over 25 because like now they're becoming a bit more. So you just approach parents and you make it a subscription fee.
Bro, like
Great business idea, bro.
Mindset, bro. Business mindset.
There
and
is
it's
a
like-
2024 version of the Mandain Tinder, which is you go onto the Instagram Mandain Youth Australia page and you follow every.
Oh, every girl, yeah.
yeah. And then you'll
Well,
find
it depends if you've seen
I
it or not.
won't name names, but I've seen quite a few people do that.
But you know what?
really?
In the youth.
Oh, 100%.
Oh shit.
But you know what? Like, there's been a few marriages come out of the Mandain youth groups.
Oh, the group. Yeah, bro. Like
You were
gotta-
one.
Yeah.
You were one. And what?
I was actually my one was out of Power of Knowledge, but yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The first time I met Ez was in Power of Knowledge.
She was with us. That's right. Yeah.
He brought her. Anwar brought her.
Was it like planned, or was it
But
more
okay,
like yeah,
but we
when
didn't.
something out?
We didn't meet. How did we meet? Like us.
Through me? Was it?
Yeah,
Because it was me, you, and Emil for Wednesday Men's Day,
that's right.
and then he
That's
came
right.
along.
and then we started. Yeah, that's right. So like we met through. We met through the youth and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
and it was
I mean,
me.
But it's a small community. We would
Yeah.
have bound to meet some other place. If it wasn't for that, it would have been.
yeah,
some
but I
other
also
event.
think like things like events, like big events, when you start like, I think that's also like what we gotta like as a community look at is the fact that you bring all these young people and look at the relationships we've built over the years. You know what I mean? And then eventually, you know, we met your mates, like you know, the guy that's on his phone right now, Mr. Producer.
To producer,
Start producing.
sending the Mrs. Text. I got a new job.
He's like, book the more expensive flower arrangements.
We're going Maldives, man. Shout out, the guy's getting married in like what, 5-6 months now?
August, right?
We're out here.
He's like, I want to get out, but the door is behind them. I don't want to be